everyone, this is Keith Scott from Apple City, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bull Energy Loose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenney and Andy McPhee.
Definitely, in the end, it's all about doing your best, and
Yeah,
I definitely think God rewarded you with that win, literally and figuratively, because he saw what
yeah,
you had been through. You went through the hardships, and it was your time to win.
yeah, and it has definitely been a big factor in my story that I just want younger people to understand that you can't let something you go through set you back or stop you from being successful or to continue chasing after your dreams because you may not understand the meaning of it now, but when you finally open your eyes and do see what the meaning behind it is, it's going to be like a light bulb goes off because that was kind of how it was for me. And you just have to take it with a grain of salt and, you know, digest and embrace the meaning of that and just move on because you never know what the better thing lies ahead. And just when you realize it, you're going to be like, okay, that makes sense now. And that has happened to me throughout this journey with my fire and how I was raised and having fibromyalgia that, I went through all those battles and emotions and didn't know how to handle it at first. And then when I realized the deeper meaning of it, it was that light bulb went off. And that's just all part of my story now and my mission. And I love being able to share it with people. And that's just definitely part of my job and the journey that God has for me.
Definitely. You and I are very much alike in our journeys. Do you want to hear a bit of what I've been through?
Yeah, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, so I have autism, I have bipolar type 2 and ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder.
Oh,
And
wow.
having those growing up because I was born in the late 90s and so obviously in
Yeah.
school they didn't have resources for that. There was not a lot of awareness or understanding. I grew up in a tiny town in Colorado called Estes Park. Ever heard of it?
I have, yes.
I was born and raised there, and because it was a tiny town high in the Rocky Mountains, there wasn't much government regulation there at the time. You could
Mhm.
only access the park area by two canyons that are basically just large
Wow.
cracks in the terrain, basically. And you can only access it through there. And so it meant that my opportunities were limited. And so I was basically in town, sort of struggling in school with lack of autism resources. And I also faced bullying from, being excluded and being physically bullied at one point. And I was constantly throughout my school years addressed by the R word, which in my opinion, is just as bad as the N word towards the African American community. And
Yeah.
it was just some bigotry that was being held by students at a young age, although in fairness, we were all kids. And that also played a role in me eventually becoming a cyberbully, was me going
Mhm.
through all those hardships and then going through a up and down education. I had some teachers that were bad. I had some teachers that were good. And so it was just, an up and down kind of year. I also was heavily addicted to soda, and the soda caused me to gain tremendous weight and to balloon up to like almost 400 pounds. And now I'm at 195. And so,
That's
real,
impressive.
yeah, and so I quit the addiction after I stopped the cyberbullying. I quit the addiction and lost weight. And then I sought mentorship with my coach and mentor, actor Andy McPhee, who was in Sons of Anarchy and Saving Mr. Banks and The Condemned. And he started this
Wow.
channel for what was then my other YouTube channel about motorsports. And he did an interview with me about my journey after going through all those hardships and overcoming them. And then I began and then with his help I began the RNU channel, although he conceived of the idea. And then after our one-time interview together, it then blossomed into him inviting other people to be interviewed that were also resilient in our journeys, from like Richard Norton and Jerry Trimble and a lot of
Mhm.
other big name guests. And then it blossomed into the RNU channel, and then he eventually stepped aside and let me run it because I showed resilience in my journey through his
Yeah.
mentorship.
That's amazing. I honestly would have never thought you had autism. Like I am very like impressed. Like that is just incredible. Like if you don't mind me asking, like do you feel like you're high functioning or like where have your struggles been with it?
I'm high functioning, and so sometimes it's hard for me to back out of the resilience because
Mhm.
sometimes my mind gets burnt out easily. And, you know,
Yeah.
and with the bipolar and the ADHD and the generalized anxiety, it means that basically I'm a free spirit kind of
Yeah.
person, you know.
I have anxiety too. I get it. Like sometimes
Mhm.
it feels like it consumes me, and other days I'm like, I just gotta ignore it and keep going. And I feel like with my fire, it really brought out my anxiety, and I developed depression over it. And I I've always been a big advocate for that too, because my mom has struggled with mental health issues as well. And
Mhm.
that's another thing. Like, you can't just judge someone based on how they look or anything like that, because you just don't know what they're going through. And I'm a big advocate with my platform helping kids with disabilities of all kinds. And so
Mhm.
that's really where my heart is. And I love being able to teach them, to love themselves and that it's okay to be different. It's okay to not be okay as well. And
Mhm.
that's really where my heart is.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.